Let's meet our concertmistress. Nancy has been sitting in that front row seat for some time now, and although you know Nancy the artist, it's time to meet Nancy the person. When asked if she comes from a musical family, Nancy may hand you a copy of a small brochure with a photo of her grandmother Gretchen on the cover. Gretchen McCurdy Gallagher was a concert violinist playing in the Chautauqua circuit in the late 1800s. Inside the pamphlet, one of her critics proclaims, "A violin solo by Miss Gretchen McCurdy Gallagher of Cincinnati created a storm of applause. Miss Gallagher's rendition of this selection was masterly and stamped her at once as an artist of unusual ability. She distinguished herself by skillful technique and a depth of feeling unusual even among professional players." Let's move on to a photo of Nancy learning to play on Gretchen's violin. She didn't seem too bothered by the fact that it was a little too big for her. Nancy sometimes plays that violin to this day. The youngest of 6 children growing up in DeKalb, Illinois, Nancy showed musical talent at a young age and began both piano and violin lessons. The music department at her school nurtured her talent and provided many opportunities for growth. She also enjoyed auditioning for solo appearances and competing as a young artist. In fact, during one of her high school concerts, she left her seat as concertmistress, made her way to the piano, and performed Rachmaninoff's Paganini Rhapsody with the orchestra. A family move to the Chicago area provided Nancy with a new violin instructor, a man who was to remain her teacher and friend for the next 8 years. Still studying 2 instruments, showing promise on both piano and violin, Nancy attended summer arts camp at Interlaken. This experience convinced her that it was time to make a decision, and that the violin would be her instrument of choice. Her time at Interlaken gave her quite a few chances to audition for solos or for membership in chamber ensembles, and although she experienced some stage fright, she advises young artists to reach for these opportunities whenever they can. After high school graduation, Nancy enrolled in Roosevelt University, home to the Chicago College of Performing Arts, and the school where her beloved teacher, Dr. Raymond Neva, was an instructor. The summer after college graduation was spent in Aspen. Lots of study, making contacts, performing, and then it was off to New York to seek musical opportunities and to audition for Juilliard. This was a real opportunity for Nancy to strike out on her own, and she said goodbye to her family and set off by herself to find a place to live and to find a way to make her dreams come true. One of the opportunities that presented itself was acceptance in the Spoleto Festival in Italy, a chance to play opera and symphonic music. As luck would have it, her audition to Juilliard landed on the very day that she was scheduled to leave for Italy. Working under pressure was good to Nancy that day. While she was in Italy, she received a phone call saying that she had been accepted to Juilliard. Sometimes an artist will list the names of their teachers. These are people we don't know, and sometimes people whose names mean nothing to us, but people who have impacted their students in awesome and significant ways. Nancy was accepted at Juilliard as a scholarship student of Dorothy DeLay, an event that would shape her as an artist and also as a teacher. Here are the names of some of Dorothy's outstanding students: Itzhak Perlman, Midori Goto, Sarah Chang, and Nancy McFarland. Opportunities to study, to perform, and to grow as an artist abounded, and Nancy took full advantage of them. Leaving Juilliard meant seeking new opportunities and making new decisions, and new friends. One of these new friends was a young concert pianist who lived in her building, Eugene Gaub. As that relationship grew, Nancy found that her talents were in demand as a freelance artist in New York. She played for commercials, for recordings, for live performances, and Gene found that he had an aptitude for computer work, which seemed to be more popular than work as a pianist. He went to work for a major New York bank, but don't think for a moment that he gave up on the piano. And then Nancy was presented with the opportunity to play in the Buffalo Philharmonic. Should she leave Gene and New York, there would be solo and other career opportunities. Well, the couple decided that this was a great time to be married. They moved to Buffalo and settled into their careers. Gene, however, left banking and earned his doctorate in piano performance at the Eastman School of Music. He spent the next 5 years teaching in Buffalo, while Nancy continued with the Buffalo Philharmonic Orchestra. This was a time of great professional growth and accomplishment for Nancy. She appeared as soloist with the Buffalo Philharmonic an unprecedented 6 times. And 2 important events occurred during their time there. One was the birth of a son, Will, now a student at Grinnell College. The other was a move to a small town near Buffalo, East Aurora, New York. Nancy and Gene discovered that this was a town with a love of the arts. With friends and contacts there, Nancy and Gene established the Roycroft Chamber Music Festival. The event is sponsored by the Roycrofters, an association of juried artisans who create handcrafted work in many medias, particularly works that celebrate the arts and crafts movement. The festival will be celebrating 21 years this June. It is a 2-week chamber music festival with a reputation for excellence in programming and performances, and has become a highlight of Western New York's musical landscape. But here they are in Iowa, thanks to opportunities at Grinnell College for a pianist, and by the way, they need a violin and chamber music instructor as well. Gene and Nancy moved their family and their studios to Iowa. Nancy enjoys her teaching schedule at Grinnell. She's recently returned from a trip to Europe with 12 of her students. This was a once-in-a-lifetime experience for many of those musicians, and Nancy is proud to have played a major role in making it happen. Another recent adventure has been several appearances with the Red Cedar Chamber Ensemble. Based in the Cedar Rapids area, the ensemble features the work of Iowa composers and promotes Iowa arts. You may recognize 2 other members of that group, our own Carrie Bastian and Miera Kim. And of course, the adventure that we are celebrating, Nancy's position as concertmistress with the Ottumwa Symphony Orchestra. Yes, Nancy is a rock star, married to a rock star. You think Beyonce and Jay-Z look good together? You think they're rock stars? Well, take a look at Nancy and Gene on a recent trip to Rome, or on a recent trip to East Aurora, or to Ottumwa. Yes, we do celebrate Nancy and her gifts, Nancy and her hard work, Nancy and her love of music, and her dedication to the Ottumwa Symphony.
I've played in concert halls, many of the finest in the world, including Carnegie Hall and the Musikverein in Vienna, the Auditorium in Chicago, and Kleinhans Music Hall in Buffalo, which is one of the great halls. But I get just as thrilled playing at the Bridgeview Center in Ottumwa as I did then, because the orchestra music is so great. It's so powerful. The sounds are so wonderful. And the Ottumwa Symphony is doing really wonderful things now. Tonight's program is really great. The Dvorak Symphony No. 8 is so delightful. The melodies that just set the Czech people on fire are universal. Everyone loves them. And Vivaldi's Spring, you've probably heard it, even if you didn't know you've heard it. It's been on so many commercials and movies, and it's one of those pieces that everybody loves. It's a delight to play. And the Sarasate Zigeunerweisen. Zigeunerweisen means gypsy airs. Gives me a chance to really let loose with all sorts of freedom. And Carrie Bastian has just been wonderful at catching what I do, which is sometimes hard, and the orchestra is doing a great job of following too. So it's been wonderful fun. Thank you so much for coming and listening and supporting the Ottumwa Symphony. When we play, it's a dream come true for all of us, and your being here and supporting us makes our dreams possible.